Alabama State has put two cornerbacks in the NFL over the last 2 seasons. I have the mastermind behind the process, James Williams, Alabama State cornerbacks coach, joining to break down how he develops talent and why he wants to get two more players in the NFL in 2025 alone. Oh, yeah, it's Locked On HBCU. Play my music.
You are Locked On HBCU, your daily podcast covering HBCU sports. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, family? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On HBCU podcast, your number one daily one-stop shop for everything HBCU athletics, Monday through Friday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And I, of course, am Darian Gray, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, Texas Southern alum and former TSU Herald Sports editor and current contributing writer at USA Today's Saints Wire. Thank you for going on this journey with me. Make a Locked On HBCU your first listen of the day, every day. And remember, just because the mic cuts off does not mean that the journey is over. Just means it's time to follow me on Twitter at South Exclusives. Starts with an S and ends with an S. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Sports may not be sporting the way that you want them to yet, but that's okay. FanDuel is making up for it by giving all customers, new and existing, a daily boost or bonus every single day, all summer long. That's every single day, every single person, all summer long. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. We have James Williams, Alabama State cornerbacks coach, on the show. I'm so happy. We've been planning on doing this for about a week, and we've been talking every single step of the way. I told you before, I love this interview, and I'm ready to give you the entertainment that I feel like we put on, man. I really did enjoy myself, and I hope that you enjoy listening. So without further ado, here is James Williams. All right, Coach James. So we had Gerald on the show a couple of weeks ago doing the top 10, and he shouted you out. That's how this whole thing came to be. And he was like, look, Coach James Williams knows how to develop talent at Alabama State that goes from college to the NFL. So what is the secret, if there is a secret, to being able to make that translation from the collegiate ranks to the professional ranks, specifically on the NFL?
Well, I know this sounds real simple, but develop the man and the football player is easy.
Mm-hmm.
When you work on the thought process of what's next, I always ask them, what does life look like? Graduated, no eligibility left. And when they have to answer that question and life hits, it makes you take football a little more seriously about what you want to do. And I think an overwhelming fact that people don't look at, they always say only 1 point this percent makes it to the NFL, 1 point this makes it there. It takes just as much energy in any field. Go look at the top CPAs, the top doctors, the top lawyers, all those specific professions, and tell me what percentage of those people that go to law school, all those places, are actually in the top percentage of what they do. Just because you get a degree in it doesn't mean you're at the top of it. So just put that same energy into your craft and you'll get opportunity if the talent is there also. You have to have some talent too.
Yeah, you gotta have some talent. That's undeniable. And y'all do know how to require or how to recruit some talent. I seen a quote on your Twitter, man. You had to, first off, I want you guys to know this is a person who loves speaking to the people. The whole develop a man, not the play, and the player will follow. That's not just lip service. You go to his Twitter, his pinned tweet is him giving a motivational speech, right? You see him. He has a book that he gives to the players that he wants to make sure they fill out so that he can understand who they are. This isn't just lip service. This is really who he is. We talked a little bit, so I can see that and I can vouch for that, right? And in that tweet that I referenced, you have a quote on there that says you can stand on a book, but you can't stand on a football, right? I love that. I want to give you the chance to elaborate on it.
Well, once you stand on your education, and you may not even need the degree. Most people that get a degree don't work in that field, but if you don't have that piece of paper, it limits you from doing something else. So you can stand on your education. A football run out of air. You may not have the balance to stand on it. And it can only take you so far. But when football is over, I don't care what you do. When it is over, you must have a way to live and understand the business principles to take care of yourself.
And go ahead.
No, facts. That's just one of my words.
So I look at that, and do you think there's how much translation, how much like overlap, I should say, do you think that there is between the person, the individual, and then the person, the football player?
Oh, let me tell you something. If kids don't think you care, you'll only get so much out of them, or you'll never have a total team because they become individuals when they feel like you don't care about them and it's just about this. And so you can never get a collective effort if kids just think you're singular. They'll become singular.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it just makes it a awkward situation. And the one thing I learned about this generation, kids know when you're fake, and they will fake just as well as you. And so you'll never get the best out of them. But the thing is, you have to make sure that you call them on the things they do, and not always in front of people, but understand each player, each young man is different. And
Hmm.
so you have to have a strategy, and you have to be, it has to be intent.
Right.
So you can't do this and not be intentional about it. I'll tell you, any field you go in, there are paycheck people that just go to work to get a check, right?
Indeed.
I don't like
Indeed.
paycheck people. I know you need them,
Hmm.
but I don't like it because it doesn't work in this industry. If you just go to work to get a check, and the people who are in mind that you're supposed to be taking care of, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you'll never have a winning culture and you'll never win a championship.
This is true. This is true. Paycheck people don't work on a league. It don't work. It don't work in college. Like you gotta put them hours, and you gotta be dedicated. Now, you got a few people who were dedicated. You have two in the league right now. You're trying to get four in the span of 3 years. Why would that be important to you?
Uh, because when I wasn't coaching uh, in college, I saw all the things about HBCU football, people not going to the pros, we're not getting invited. And so I wanted it to be a staple of we can. No
Hmm.
matter where you are, you can. And to show that you can go to another school, it's about you. At the end of the day, you may not go in the round you want to, you may not, but the whole thing is getting your foot in the door and having the opportunity to play at the next level. And if you can do that, your talent will show through. But I just wanted the process to continue from other things that I started, because one thing that does not change, the process does not change in your life, the product changes. And when you change the product and keep the process consistent, you'll always be successful. I've done soul searching within myself, and I wanted to see what it was that made me never quit. And I figured out what it was, and I wanted to give it to the kids. I wanted to give them the lesson of being excellent. What does excellence look like? Excellence looks like small things, getting up, making your bed every day, having great habits, taking care of yourself, making sure if you don't take care of why do you think I think you'll take care of me? And what I mean by that, if you're not going to take care of your education, if you're not going to do the things to make your life be in order at a later date in your life, and you take this 4 seriously so you don't have to worry about the next 40,
Hmm.
then why would you play hard for me and you're not even doing things hard for yourself? So, but you have to give them perspective, because only thing sometimes they know is what they know, and it's
Right.
not enough. Because I didn't know enough at that age.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that when you're looking at your coaching philosophy, when you're looking at your style, it's a lot of mentorship as well as coaching on the field, right? Like when I say mentorship, I mean building up the character, building up the person, teaching lessons, things that translate from the field to everyday life, whether you work in a job that's coaching, like some people may transition into coaching, whether you're doing scouting, whether you're doing something that's not sports related, you still got to have these core principles. And I see that it's important for you to teach that. And we talked about the 4 players, 3 years, right? We talked about that on the phone when we were speaking, I think it was about a week, 2 weeks ago. And
Yeah.
you said that's a rarity. It hasn't
Yeah.
happened in a long time in the SWAC to have 4 players from the same position group make it to the NFL, regardless of round, but just 4 players from the same position group to make it to the NFL in a 3-year span since Alcorn did. I think he said it was like 30 years ago, man.
Like
So
1988, my freshman year, 3 defensive backs were drafted. I think it was 2 safeties and a corner. and another one was a free agent. That's the last time.
And you trying to make it happen? You feeling good about your chances?
It's gonna happen. You got to speak it into existence. They believe, we believe as a team. I believe, and I think when you have a belief system that's so strong that you see where God is taking you from where you started, is no way you will fail, your players will fail, but it starts with the leader.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our leadership at the top, Coach Robinson is amazing. He's an amazing human being. And I think he has so much love and compassion for our players and our young men, wanting them to graduate, wanting them to have excellent grades. Is the first thing isn't just about football. And he's made it a culture to care about the man, because if you take care of the man, the football player will always be easy. And so he believes in it. And so we all believe in it.
Now I want to keep going towards the motivation factor, because I seen a really good video on Twitter of the team watching Mikey Victor, and I want to explore and ask your side of that as we continue with Locked On HBCU. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, and FanDuel is the official sports book of the Locked On Podcast Network. And I understand sports may not have been sporting the way that you wanted to all this summer, right? Because they haven't had the NFL, they haven't had college football, and now we're only 8 days. Matter of fact, there's probably games on next Friday for Week 0, so you're probably like a week away from having college football. So for all of those who said that the sports are not sporting the way that you want them to, just wait, be patient, my friend. But in the meantime, make some money at FanDuel.com. If it's the WNBA, if it's the MLB, if it's putting money down on Week 0 already, putting money down on Week 1 of the NFL, it's all there. I don't know if you want to get risky and try the preseason, but you know what? If you want to take the risk, go ahead and go to FanDuel.com. Doesn't matter the sport, doesn't matter the occasion. I would send you to FanDuel.com any day of the week. FanDuel.com, make every moment more. As we continue rolling on today's episode of Locked On HBCU, I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day. Every day for your second listen, make sure you're checking out Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin, because he's going to make sure that you have every single thing that you need, whether it's realignment, the top 25 polls, just to be ready for the FBS college football season. Now, you know, Darian Gray, Texas Southern alum. You got James Williams, Texas Southern Hall of Famer. I decided to rep my polo today, Coach. Let you remember where you came from. Let you remember where you came from.
I love it.
Southern is heavy in the building, okay?
Swag.
You got look, it's swag. You know, Hall of Famer in the building with me, and I'm very grateful for it. Alabama State Cornerbacks coach, also associate head coach. So we're making big moves, and we met at the Shrine Bowl. Now we're going to put this into motion now. I seen a really good clip, and it was the team watching Mikey Victor's preseason debut with the New England Patriots. By the way, the officials did rob him of an interception.
Yes.
They robbed him of an interception.
His hand was under that ball.
I agree. I know it touched the ground, but he had control. You know what I'm saying? But it's okay. It's okay. Because I definitely thought he had the interception. But
I want to tell you why it's okay.
Why?
Because 2 days later, Keenan Isaac got a pick against Cincinnati.
Alabama State, you know, and watching these moments, whether it's Keenan Isaac, whether it's Mikey Victor, how does watching players who were in the room with you just a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, to watch players who you were 1 degree of separation from now be in the NFL, how does that impact the people who are still in the Alabama State defensive back room?
Now, that's the question. We've established a culture that who's next?
Mm-hmm.
We won't run out. Long as there's bullets in the chamber, we will not run out. And so I think watching those guys, they come back, they call, they still talk to all the players. They keep them in the loop of everything that's going on, how the feeling is of being there. And I think when you're next to somebody for that amount of time and you get a chance to see their habits, what it took for them to get there, it's easier for them to listen to my instructions because of the instructions they saw me give them, whether it's me being tough on them, things I told them they had to do off the field, how they had to conduct themselves as men, because you have to realize when you're trying to go to the next level, they're buying a product. And a product has to be worthy to be sold, to be merchandised, to be looked at, whatever it is, how you want to look at the business. It is what it is. It's the National Football League. And so there are requirements. And I've been there and I know what those requirements are.
And, you know, I think we had an expectation for Victor in the draft. And listen, man, this Locked On HBCU. I've been running this show since winter, fall of 2021. I've seen 3 drafts now. I know how the draft can go for us. It's not always great, right? And Victor was a guy we thought was going to be drafted, ended up not being. What were the conversations like with him after the fact? You know, because I know being in the league is one thing, but everybody wants to hear their name called.
I think he's such a level-minded young man. He wanted to be drafted just like Keenan Isaac wanted to be drafted. But he didn't take it personal to the point that he thought it lowered his standard or his ability as a player. Mm-hmm. He just said, I have to go in and just prove myself because I do have this opportunity. It hurt me because I felt like he was worthy of being drafted. He had the size, he's athletic, just everything that you want, and just the person that he is, great teammate. And so when you have all those intangibles, you know, it's life, it happens, but I think he'll have a long career in the National Football League. Great teams player. I think everything will work out for him in the long run.
Yeah, we rooting for him. Like I said, I hope everybody in Foxborough saw that was the interception. It was good coverage, man.
He had a good PBU on third down. On third down, he had a good PBU earlier in the series.
Mm-hmm. I hope that people get to go watch it. Earlier this week, we talked about preseason football on the show. And I know a lot of times people don't want to sit there and watch preseason for so long, but try to keep up with some of the highlights, right? Like try to keep up with the Isaacs, with the Victors, with the Wheelers, with the Wilsons, right? Like let's try to keep up with those players. But man, I'm telling you, I texted Gerald immediately. He got that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. You have the mindset of next man up. Mm-hmm. You have that mindset of as long as we got bullets in the chamber, we still firing. And I think that next bullet that's ready to be fired is James Burgess, right? And when you look at Burgess, who's now going to step into that lead corner role, when you look at him, what stands out about him for Alabama State?
His toughness, his physicality. He bags down from nothing and no one. And as we say, he wants the smoke. He doesn't run from the smoke. Like whoever the best guy is, he's willing to cover him. And so when you have a guy with that type of mentality, very smart football player, 6'3", 200 pounds, has the length, excellent bumper. I think he's probably the best bumper run guy we've had since I've been here. And he just has it all.
And you talk about 6'3", man, because gosh, y'all like y'all big corners. When you're looking at them, the cornerbacks in general, you have this saying, and I don't want to butcher it, but it's about playing opposite of your height. We talked about it. And can you give the phrase and then also why it's important? It's about, about how you had them bending to in the beginning of the game.
Well, I think you have to teach big guys how to play like small guys. Mm-hmm. And in order to do that, you have to be able to teach twitch. So I'm really big on making big guys twitchy, where they can come out their breaks, drop their hips, and play small. But when you're big and play small, it makes you exceptional. It makes you different because you can move laterally, anything. You can do anything you want to do with your body. And so when you give them that plus, there's not many minuses players have when they can do that. And most of those guys, if you think about it, Mikey was a basketball player. Mm-hmm. He was big-time basketball. Burgess, big-time basketball player. When you have guys that play basketball and are so athletic, it's a lot easier to teach guys who transition from basketball to that corner position. Because what has changed over the years, we played multiple sports when I was in high school. So now kids don't play as many sports as they used to. They pick a dominant sport and they just stick to it.
Yeah.
And so when you look at the players who play 2 and 3 sports, they amp to have a little more athleticism than other guys.
I can see that. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I think I feel like the one you see a lot is baseball as a side sport. I think you tend to see people, specifically quarterbacks, they'll play baseball and they'll play football. That's probably the one thing that I see as the dual sport goes. I don't know why basketball and football ain't.
Well,
Mm,
I wish football players ran track more.
mhm.
And I know because of 7-on-7 came into play, all those things, but track was huge during my era. To like, coach wouldn't let you play football if you didn't run track.
Yeah.
So that was just the rule. And because you build endurance, you build mental toughness running track. It's just track is a grueling sport.
This is facts.
Yeah.
It's facts. When I was in school, it was either track or weightlifting. Those are the two things. You either got to do track or weightlifting. I think all the small guys had to do track,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah.
let the big guys pick. Sometimes they do shot put, whatever, right? Um, but y'all replaced Mikey Victor with another dog, and I refer back to the Gerald Huggins interview again because that's where he said, "Listen, I don't put transfers in my top 10, but if I do, if I were to make an exception, it would be Caleb Offord." What did you guys see when you decided to pick up the former Notre Dame player?
Well, I've known Caleb for years.
Mhm.
So I already had it, I just knew him from growing up, watching high school football and a whole lot of things. And I knew his family. So I told him I thought it'd be a great place for him to be here with us. He's tall, athletic, extremely fast, physical. So when you get those combinations together and he's cat quick, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he in the 5'10", he ran 4.01 at 195 pounds.
Mhm.
Not bad for a guy that's 6'2".
Mhm.
And so elite ball skills. Uh, I'm excited. I'm excited. And the thing is, we also got another transfer corner that has had a great camp. Twilly Lovett. He
Mhm.
came in the spring from McNeese, and he is a dog. Both of those guys are dogs. So I feel very good about where we are in our secondary. We have Trey Phillips returning, who's been the start nickel for the last few years and one of the best special teams players in our conference. And we have some young guys like Greg Mangle, Eric Tarrant, Ethan Tukes. So we have a
Yep.
very solid room of guys that, and our future looks bright. We have, just remember this name. Just remember Spider. His first name is
Okay.
Nathan
Okay.
Wagyu, and he is 6'3", and he's about 165, 70 pounds right now. But that kid, he's going to be special.
True freshman?
Yeah, true freshman. Mhm.
Okay. Y'all about to put some weight on him. Y'all about to
Yeah.
put some weight on him. Probably red shirt him, get him some weight on him.
Well,
Okay.
you don't have to rush him. You don't have to rush him when they're nice like that. And so just being able to get those type of players on our back end really helps, especially from the corner position, because I think it's the easiest position to learn and the hardest one to play.
Mhm.
And I try to tell people that it's only so many things we're going to do, but the way we do it, we have to be special. And so we preach special, we preach intent, and we have a standard that I think won't be broken, because the standard is just the standard, as Coach Robinson says. And if you are not here to meet the standard and actually try to break through the barrier to set a new one, then this is probably not the place for you.
I'm gonna ask you about Coach Robinson, your connection with him, both before Alabama State and then also your connection with him as you've been here. But I do have one more question about the Alabama State secondary, and we'll get to it as we continue with Locked On HBCU. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. I would tell my own mom to go to Gametime, and I love my mom. Like, it's just that simple. I wouldn't send you anywhere. I wouldn't send my family. So with that being said, as I'm talking, swipe up, get me into the little play in box, the little small play box you got on YouTube. If you're on the audio side, don't even have to worry about it. Go ahead and download the Gametime app. Follow these instructions. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code Locked On College. You get $20 off your first purchase. If you want to go to a play, go to Gametime. You want to go to a concert, go to Gametime. You want to go to a football event, a basketball event, whatever. You can get it all on Gametime. It's simple. Comedy show, Gametime. I don't care what it is. Gametime is not only meant for athletic events. The circus, Gametime, right? The Universal Circus is coming to Chicago. I found that out when I was looking for my tickets on Gametime. It's simplistic to do. All you have to do, download the app, create an account, and use the code locked on college. You get $20 off your first purchase, and you'll be hooked after that. As we're wrapping up today's episode of Locked on HBCU, I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day, every day, making all the way to segment 3. And I thank you 2 times for that. I have Texas Southern Hall of Famer. Feels good to say that as a TSU alum, man. I got Texas Southern Hall of Famer and Alabama State cornerbacks coach James Williams with me, right? I'm going to ask you straightforward, and we're going to keep it simple. So straight up, coach, does Alabama State have the best secondary in black college football?
Yes.
Is there anybody close?
No.
Is there any more that needs to be said? Yeah, hey, he said
it. The point of it, I truly do believe that, and it's not a knock against anybody else. We are who we are, and if I can't stand on it, and my boys watch this, and I'm not telling my real truth, how can they believe in it?
And this is what we talked about. Don't put somebody else down to boost yourself up. It ain't about so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so.
Any other university. This is about us and our standard and what we believe. And the proof has been the proof. I think last year we had the number 2 scoring defense in all of FCS football. I mean, what else is there to say to that? We went from 14 to 2, which a lot of people have been happy with being number 14. So and that's and it's not about me taking credit. If I had to say anything, the character and the consciousness of our defensive coordinator, Ryan Lewis, he is the epitome of let's get it. Like, you cannot be on another level, not be on another level, coaching with him and actually playing for him. And that's why I think all of our rooms have a certain standard because of what he demands from all of us. And he is going to get the best out of every defensive coach on this side of the ball because he does not compromise, he does not bend, and he won't break. But excellent leader, and you understand his why. He's going to explain his why, but the intent is so real that we all buy in. And so I wouldn't ask for a better leader on defense. I don't think there's a better leader anywhere. And definitely, in our conference where we play on FCS football. As a matter of fact, I think he's one of the best young coaches in the country. And so I'll hang my hat on that with him.
Man, look, I think you got a good coaching room. We got you, got Coach Lou, got Coach Rob, right? I think you guys, and those all defensive-minded people, right? And I think everybody knows that the question about Alabama State, maybe you can answer this, is what the offense is going to look like this year.
See, you see how I smile? You see how I smile? I'm going to date myself with my age because my favorite rapper till this day is Young Jeezy.
Okay.
And he had a song where he said, "I'm your favorite rapper's favorite rapper." You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, my favorite coach's favorite coach is our new offensive coordinator, Chris Barnett.
Okay.
I love his philosophy, his toughness, former MEAC guy. And he is just so good for the culture. Amazing person, the way he conveys everything to our players. I think, and this is not a shot against our last coordinator, anybody.
Of course.
This is to clarify who he is to us. And I think he's been a big shot in the arm for us. And I think he's going to do great things with our offense and everything that he's implemented. And I'm just looking forward to, our battles in practice have been great. And so I just look forward to getting in the game and watching us compete against, another team because he's watching him and Coach Lewis. It makes practice so much fun because we just compete at a very high level.
Now I got a couple questions about your leader, right? I got a couple questions about your leader, Eddie Robb.
Gotcha.
Now, James Williams, Eddie Robinson,
yes,
Chris Dishman,
yes,
Bubba McDowell,
yes.
Are they Houston Oilers just the SWAC coaching feeder system or something? How you got all of those guys in one room and then they all come into the same conference to be coaches?
Wow, we all talked about that. We all really close friends, and you know, Bubba. Let me just start with Bubba.
Mm-hmm.
Bubba was one of the most athletic safeties I'd ever watched play, and you could tell he would be a coach. Chris had so much knowledge of the game that you knew he would coach. Uh, Coach Robinson, his name was Steady Eddie. Like, what else can you say? Like, he knew the defense better than coaches most of the time. And so, and myself, uh, I was probably the oddball out of who would be, in the coaching ranks, because I was just very athletic. I love the game. I think I'm very intentional and smart about everything that I do. But I didn't see myself at that time going into coaching, even though I loved football. And when I saw them in, and we all had relationships, and it just kind of say, why not? And so it kind of worked out. But man, it's fun, knowing those guys' mentality and being able to watch everybody coach now.
Yeah. And then so now in 2022, you take on the job, you come in with Coach Robinson at Alabama State.
Mm-hmm.
In those 2 going on 3 years, how have you seen the development as a coach of both him and yourself?
I think he has just been ascending like so much in every area. Just it takes time to develop a culture, but the work and the time that we both have put in, just endless days and nights, just to make sure the culture and taking care of. We have a thing that you have to take care of the product,
Mm-hmm.
or the product will not be good for you at all. And if the kids are part of what would be looked at as a product of your success, you cannot overlook them for a scheme, for nothing. You have to make sure he is so big on how we take care of our players. And so everybody's not going to fit, but he has just been so consistent in his growth, with the coaches, with the players, his mindset, everything he does with the university in mind. And you got to think about it. This is his home. This is the place where he became a man.
Mm-hmm.
And so he shows his true love for his university on how he cares for everything that's involved. If you have this on, it matters. I'm talking, it matters to him, from the cleaning crew to, it doesn't matter. If you are part of this ASU culture, from the cafeteria, whoever it is, he wants it taken care of at a high level. And so in doing that, and along with, our athletic director and our president, everybody is in on us being successful. And so he has made that happen with just injecting who he is into this university. And you can't lose when it's like that.
This is beautiful, man. Look, I got Alabama State more on the way. I'm very excited. I'm very excited about you guys this season. Very excited about the HBCU season starting. Y'all got one of the 2 premier games coming up in the week 0, week 1 with North Carolina Central. Good luck to you guys. Good luck to you. Good luck to Offord, and good luck to Burgess, because I know 4 and 3 years is a big thing for you. Any closing remarks before we get out of here, Coach?
Well, I think we have adapted, all the media, everybody's saying who's number one. Well, it doesn't matter who's number one, because you still have to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
We put all our energy into what we're doing, who we are, and then whoever faces us has to deal with us. We are not worried about who's in front of us. Who's in front of us needs to worry about us, because we built for this.
Alabama State. I appreciate you. To the next, we back next week. See, I wasn't able to predict it this time. Y'all know I record these early, but next week we'll be starting game week for the first time, because we have week 0, the SWAC MEAC challenge, and I'm ready for some football. I know you are too. So that's what we'll be back to talk about on Monday. In the meantime, in between time, until next time that we hear each other, family, take care, stay blessed. Peace.